Hey guys, Mike T here with Princess Auto. Welcome to Tech Tips with Mike T. We're talking about selecting a snowblower. So you're in the market for a snowblower, not quite sure what you're looking for. There's tons of them out there, different models, different brands. So we're just going to kind of go over a couple of the basics of snowblowers. So you've got basically three options when it comes to the stages of a snowblower. So in front of us here we have basically three units. The two outer units are single stage, which really just means that it has an auger that draws that snow and slush in and then shoots it out of the chute. If you need a little bit more, you've got deeper snow, a little bit heavier snow, that's where you may want to look to upgrading to a two-stage. So that will really have an auger reel, and it's also going to have a flight inside that as the auger chews that snow in, draws into the secondary auger and then out through your chute. So that's for deeper snow, heavier snow, bigger jobs. Now there is also a third or three-stage snowblower. We don't have them in our selection here, but what it'll have is it'll have your standard auger, but before the secondary auger in the back to throw it out through the chute, your flight, you're going to have a 90-degree auger that sticks out in the middle, and it's going to turn this way. So if you're chewing up a whole lot of really dense ice, really heavy snow, it's kind of like a pre-auger. It smashes that up, then it gathers into your second stage and first stage, and then out through your chute. Those are basically your three-stage options. So in front of us here, we have a couple of gas units and electric units. So if you don't want to use a shovel, you just want to kind of dust off the deck just around the front yard, you can get away with maybe an electric model. So the electric model on this side, this brand is an Earthwise. It basically just needs to plug into a cord, an extension cord. In this type, it's a two-prong. Then you would go to your three-prong cord to your outlet. Basically, just plug it in. You have an on-off button at the back, and basically it's just a little electric motor. It's drawing about 13.5 amps, so you will need a fairly heavy low gauge extension cord depending on the distances that you are going to be traveling around your house. But it's basically just got a small impeller. Some models will have down here, instead of it being an actual metal auger, it's going to have a heavy reinforced rubber. So it's not going to damage your decking. It's not going to damage any kind of, things that might be a little bit more sensitive than if you're running a metal auger. Some of them will have little adjustments, shoes on the bottoms. Some of them won't. It all depends on the models you're looking at. In some cases, you're going to have, all of the adjustability at the back side. So when we want to rotate and change the angle of our snow chute, we can just rotate a really easy control here. We basically have an on-off brake system. If you trip, slip, or fall, it will kill that auger from turning, or if you get something caught inside. So not a lot of options when it comes to bolt-on options. It doesn't have automatic chutes, and it doesn't have controls. If you want to control your height and distance of your chute, you will just have to manually move this up and down and then just lock it in place. You just got to be careful with rocks. If you've got a pad that you're parking on that's gravel, they can, over time that can start to damage the plastic, especially if it's really cold out. If electric isn't really what you're looking for, we also have a similar unit, just a little bit larger. Again, it is a single stage unit with a rubber auger. It does have metal sides on it, but it has a rubber plate that will rotate. But in this case, this one's a gas unit. So to make it easy to start, you can pull them over. There is a recoil that you can automatically pull that over if you choose. But this one also has a start function. So what you would need with the kit is a snowblower extension cord. So it's got your standard three-prong. It will have the male-female side, and on the unit itself At the back side of this unit, we'll have a plug-in that we will plug that into. And all we have to do is plug that into our outlet on our house. On the back side here, we have a little red button that we will push, and that has an electric start. Once it's started and running, you just disconnect your plug and continue on snow blowing. Most of these units that are gas operated in the selection of snowblowers will have a primer button. So when you're going to first start up your machine on a cold start, on the back side of this unit here, we have a primer button. So you're going to push it 3, 4, depending on what the model is telling you to prime with. Give it a few what it suggests. They also have an emergency start key. So there'll be a key that's going to be placed inside. Sometimes your models will come with an extra one. This key needs to be inserted in for you to operate your snowblower, and that comes in with many of the gas models. As for controlling your chute on this unit, you basically have a rotatable handle down here, so you do have to reach over, and then you also have adjustable chutes through adjusting your height and your distance. Again, a plastic chute, so you just have to be careful with heavy rocks, large chunks of ice, that kind of stuff that can damage chutes. Now, if you really want to, get into the big jobs, that's where we start getting into the large walk-behind type units that all the controls are going to be on the back side. We're going to be able to just rotate our chute wherever we would like it to go, super smooth. We also have controls that will adjust through a cabling system our height and distance that we want to shoot our snow out of the chute. And then we've got drive systems. So these are basically single stage systems over here where it will run, but you're going to be pushing it, and there's a little bit more effort. On these units here, in this case, this Remington has a 5-speed forward gearbox. So we could select how fast we want to move this with this, and it's you'll be getting dragged behind it, so you got to be careful on slippery surfaces. You don't want to go too fast. And then it also has a 2 reverse gear system, so a kind of a low range and then a higher range. So when you're backing up and all of that, you're not really dragging it, it's going to walk with you. So all the controls are really handy right where you are. It's got the dual safety and startup systems, so you have to have these both down for it to operate. That way, if you trip up, safety is involved in this unit. It also has a light, so on the front here it has a light. This is not a battery operated unit, so again you do have to plug it in. So on the back side here there's a plug and then a push button. That's a 120 volt system, so once that's started your light will come on. As soon as when you stop your unit or stall it out or turn it off, your light will shut off. It runs off of the magneto that's on the motor. In this case, again, we have a push button primer and then a kind of a choking system to allow for more or less fuel as you warm up your engine. What you won't find on any of these units is an air box. So because we're using these in the winter, you don't have an air filter that can freeze up, so you don't have to actually check that, and that's not part of the unit. So if you are searching for one to do maintenance, that's not on these units, so don't search too hard. Some of the models also come with cleanouts. So in this case, there's a bracket on the back of this unit, and it has a little mini shovel for reaching in, cleaning out the chunks of snow. In that odd case where you're blowing snow in your driveway and all of a sudden you run over your extension cord for your block heater. That gets wrapped up inside here. Well, a couple of things can happen. Hopefully you're not electrocuting yourself, but it can wrap around to the point where it will stall the engine out. Well, the last thing you want to do is start reaching in there because that auger could be under tension and they come with these to kind of, you know, jar anything loose, clean out any of the excess snow that can build up, especially if you're in slushy and then it starts to freeze. You want to chip that away because that'll just be issues later on when you go to restart it. So a lot of them have a little shovel so you don't actually have to put your hands in them. And they have a nice little handy mount at the back side. Well, that's it for Tech Tips with Mike T. We'll see you next time.